the commercials.
Yeah.
Commercial free.
All right, everybody. Welcome into What the Puck is Going On. We are a little bit late, experiencing some technical difficulties. So it's looking like we're going to have a commercial-free show this evening. Not a bad thing. Only, about a 50-minute show. We don't have many games to dive into, but we are going to try and find some plays for the three that are on. I am Nephew Dave. We're here in Virginia Beach, Virginia, in the studios of the Deep End Broadcasting Network. I am flying solo this evening. Uncle Steve had a little bit too much fun. He's under the weather, sleeping on the couch, making me do all the hard work. So when we get back up and rolling, we're going to make sure that we give him the boo button Sunday morning for the round robin. So be looking out for that. We'll give him a little bit of a hard time. It's all good, though. It happens. We'll be back strong. Uncle Steve, get a little rest. I got it from here. So, like I said, 3 games on tonight. Real short menu. So we'll get into the games tomorrow, which will be quite a bit. Capitals play tonight. They are down in Raleigh. They also play tomorrow, so that'll mean they are in a back-to-back. We'll reach a little bit on that. Something to keep an eye on when you're gambling the NHL. Teams do play back-to-back. While that's not always a factor, it certainly can be as teams get late into the second game of a back-to-back, start feeling a little fatigue and maybe slip defensively or just not as fast if they're playing a bit of a fresher team. So tonight, let's start off. We're going to go like we did last week through the top 3 teams in each conference. I touched on that last week. The reason we do it is it's the top 3 teams in each division reach the playoffs with 2 wild cards. So while it's very early to be talking about playoffs, that's just the format, and I feel like it makes it a little bit easier to break down. So we'll start in the Atlantic Division. Got the Boston Bruins, 8-1-0, good for 16 points. Having a very hot start to the season. If they continue this play, watch out for them as a serious contender. We kind of thought that they would be anyway. I myself thought maybe they had taken one step back. They're definitely showing me wrong at the moment. So we'll see, and that'll be good when we talk about futures as well. We'll reach on that just a little bit. The numbers are always moving for that this early, so we'll see what the value is on those. So second in that Atlantic Division, the Florida Panthers, 5-3-1, good for 11 points. And the third team, still holding that spot from last week, I believe, the Buffalo Sabres at 5-3, good for 10 points. So we'll jump down here to the Metro. This is a little bit of a surprise to me. A good start for them. They have a young, fast team. They added some players, so they're looking to bolster that roster a little bit. And it seems like they may have found a bit of a spark there in New Jersey. So that is the New Jersey Devils, number 1 in the Metropolitan Division right now. They are 6-3, and that is good for 12 points. In second place in that division, you have the New York Rangers at 5-3-2, good for 12 points. Last week, they were down towards the bottom of that division. Like we keep touching on, it is still early, so that doesn't really mean too much, right off the jump, unless you're a team like the Blue Jackets. They're 3-7. That is definitely not a start that you want. It's very tough to dig out of a hole like that, especially if the trend continues. You get to the All-Star break. It doesn't happen very often. It did happen a couple years ago when the St. Louis Blues won their Stanley Cup. They were the worst team in the league at the All-Star break. They caught fire, rattled off a bunch of wins, and went on to win the Stanley Cup. So while it does happen, you cannot count on it because it does not happen often. And like I said, it is not a hole you want to be in. So New York, they're second in that division, and third, the Philadelphia Flyers at 5-2-1, good for 11 points. This is a team. They have John Tortorella as their coach. They seem to be pretty fired up in Philadelphia. I do remember in our first airing, we were talking about teams that I thought we could beat up on, and the Flyers were certainly one of them. They are making me eat my words as well. So, not stoked about that, but it is what it is. They're playing some good hockey in Philly. The thing is, for me, can they continue this? I'm not quite certain. They have, players that they can trade if they think that they're in some kind of a retool, maybe not quite a rebuild, but a retool. I think they're probably not thinking about that right now at 5-2-1. So we'll see what happens with them. Like I said, can they keep it up? We'll find out. So we have the two wild card teams right now would be the Carolina Hurricanes at 5-2-1, good for 11 points. So they're actually tied in points with Philly. So there's going to be a lot of jockeying in this division. I'm just putting that out there now. It's going to be very, very competitive. Besides, two, maybe three teams at the bottom, but there is going to be a lot of jockeying, so that's going to be something to keep an eye on. We don't want to get too invested in, these teams where they're at right now because it can certainly change. And the Detroit Red Wings, if the season ended today, they would be in the playoffs. I do have that as a long-term ticket. So we'll see what happens with them. They're 4-2-2, good for 10 points. They're definitely picking up the play. I like to see that for them. They're a pretty iconic hockey team. I do believe they are an original six. So, good for them. They had a streak. They went. I think it was 20 plus years or something like that, where they always made the playoffs. They dropped off just a bit for a couple years. It seems like new management and a couple new players that they have brought in have energized that lineup, and they are playing some pretty good hockey. So let's jump into the Western Conference. And we're going to start off in the Central with the Dallas Stars at 5-3-1, good for 11 points. I think they're going to be a decent defensive team this year. They shut out my Capitals the other night. So anytime you get a shutout, you can't really do much better than that, so you have to be happy with it. They're playing some good hockey right now, so we'll see about them as well in some futures. I think we can probably find some value in that. So towards the end, we'll definitely touch on that. Like I said, I think we can find some value and try and make that a long-term ticket if you're into that kind of thing. So second in that division would be the Winnipeg Jets at 5-3-1. Jets were a team that I thought was going to take a step back. So we'll see about that. I still kind of think they will. Teams are trying to find their way early in the season, trying to find an identity to their club. So I don't know that they stay there, but we'll see. And third in that division, I can't even believe this. I'm going to have to go slap Uncle Steve, wake him up, see what he thinks about this news. The Chicago Blackhawks at 4-3-2 with 10 points, third in that division. And that was a team that I was pretty high picking on. I thought they were going to be, at the bottom of that division, if not towards the bottom of the league. That could still happen. They have some young guys. It's an energy thing. I feel like in the they're coming out hot. Bunch of young guys. They made some trades. So they're playing pretty good in Chicago, and I think if you're a Blackhawks fan, you at least have to be happy with the start and what you've seen so far. So let's jump in down to the Pacific, where we have some pretty heavy hitters here. at 1, 2, and 3 in this division. You have the Vegas Golden Knights, 8, 2, and 0 for 16 points. So they look to be returning to form, getting back to their playoff ways. I couldn't see them. I don't think they'll miss this year. So something to look at in the futures. They seem to have found their old style, I guess I could say. So with that being said, we got the second place Edmonton Oilers, 6-3, good for 12 points. And then you have third place Calgary Flames at 5-2, good for 10 points. I believe that they have a serious chance of winning that division. So at the place that they're at right now, if you're a long-term kind of better, I believe once we look at these futures, we can definitely find some value in them as well. I believe I took them in one of my slips. I don't usually do much long-term, but every now and again we'll do one or two. And so you have the wild card teams at the moment. Seattle Kraken, they're 4-4-2, good for 10 points. So they're actually tied for third in that Pacific Division, as well as the Los Angeles Kings, who are 5-5, good for 10 points. So you have a traffic jam there in the Pacific. We'll see what happens out there. That's probably going to be a interesting division to keep an eye on for sure. So we'll see what happens out there. A team to note: Colorado Avalanche, the defending champs, are 4-4-1, good for 9 points. So that's something to keep an eye on with them. They are out of the picture 9 games into the season. So very, very early. So let's jump in to the slate tonight. First game up, we have the Washington Capitals down there in Raleigh at the Carolina Hurricanes. And so let's take a look here at their last 5. The Capitals are 3-2 in their last 5 games, coming off a shutout of the Nashville Predators. That was a very good game. I did watch it. Yeah, it was actually a slow game to start, kind of a snoozer. They picked it up a little bit. Ovi gets an empty net goal, so he's inching closer to his milestone, trying to catch the goal record there. And the Hurricanes are 2-3 in their last 5. Their last win was against the Flyers, a 4-3 overtime win. So they beat the Flyers there. They're probably feeling pretty good about that. So let's jump in. We'll go and look at the lines, try and find something on this, as I'm sure we can. I was looking at a couple things. So we'll see what we can build tonight. Not much to build off of, but and of course, we're loading, as we do here in the studio every now and again. So just stick with us as I open up the book here and try and find some plays. So we're going with the first game here tonight. Jeez, being very, very slow here. Sorry about this, folks. All right, here we go. We got the puck line. The Hurricanes are favored pretty heavily, I might add. They're minus 205 on the money line. So anytime you're kind of getting into the 200s, the book is thinking one way. Hopefully, we're thinking the other. There's going to definitely be some value with the Capitals this evening if you want to go that route. Plus 175 on the money line for the Capitals. Puck line minus 105 for the Hurricanes. It's at plus 130. So let's take a look at the puck lines real quick. If you like playing that, I feel like the puck lines can be a bit difficult though. It's the spread in hockey, whereas opposed, you have a much better chance with the spread in football and basketball. But we can find good numbers here on the puck line. It's just a little bit tougher to hit. But these are the things we do here at Deep In. We like to move the lines like crazy people. So we're going to do that real quick and see what we can find. So we're going to go alternate puck line. And if you think the Hurricanes can win by 3 or more, which is a possibility, they're at minus 2.5 for plus 230. I don't really like that. I feel like it should be a little bit higher to win by 3 goals. Capitals coming off a shutout. They have tightened up a little bit defensively, but they also do have an injury to John Carlson on the back end. He is not playing tonight. So if we're trying to find an angle for the Hurricanes to get that many, him being out is going to make some young guys or a young guy from Hershey come up, fill that spot, maybe not have as much experience as Carlson would. So they might be able to exploit that a little bit. We'll see about that. So if we're going to go with the Capitals on the puck line, like I said, we can definitely find value here. If we think we can go in there, keep it close, maybe go into the third period by winning by 1 goal. 3 minutes left in the third period. Carolina pulls the goalie. We get an empty netter win by 2, plus 340 for that. I like that value much, much more than I would Carolina for the 2.5. Because, like I said, the minus 1.5 is plus 130. It's plus money, but I would rather go with something a little bit higher. And if you think the Capitals, with the energy from the shutout, can go into Raleigh and just kind of take it to them, minus 2.5, plus 600. I would be a little bit weary on that. Carolina is a good team, but these things do happen from night to night. Team gets a little separation. Maybe one team's a little flat that night. So Capitals minus 2.5, plus 600. That's tremendous value for that. Like I said, it is a divisional game, so anything could happen here. We've got the over under is at 6. I feel like this could be a 4-3 game. So if you want to take the over at 6 right where it is, it's minus 105. I wouldn't, we could maybe bump that up on an alt total. I wouldn't. 8 goals is probably where I would be comfortable. Over 7.5 plus 270. So that's not bad value if we're going to go down to Raleigh and think it's a shootout, which it very well could be with these teams. Once they start scoring, they can get on a run. And the Capitals in their last couple games have been scoring in bunches with, 2 or 3 goals in just a couple minutes. So scoring there in quick flurries. So it can definitely happen. So over 7.5 plus 270. I might put a check mark on that, expecting a shootout. And let's look at the 60-minute line, as Uncle Steve has been playing that in his NHL bets, I believe. And I do like the 60-minute line. I do feel like it is a good play. You just don't want any overtime with these 60-minute lines. So for the Washington Capitals to win in regulation would be plus 250. That's pretty good value, I feel like, for that. That's we're just asking them not to go to overtime. Like I said, it could be 4-3 or more. So plus 250 if you think the Capitals can go into Raleigh and get that win in regulation, that is. And then the Carolina Hurricanes for the 60-minute line are minus 125. So you can see the difference here as I talk about it. What the book is thinking and how the trend is on this game. Capitals are definitely the underdog. So if you like the value for underdogs, we definitely have it with Washington. You're probably going to have to shop around a little bit on your books to find some value for Carolina, unless you're, taking them up crazy numbers. So that's pretty much it. You can go into some player props on this one. I would probably leave the goalie props alone. I do not see a shutout in this game. But if you do think there is going to be overtime, we'll go back to the 60-minute line. Then The draw is plus 340. And that could be a sneaky play just because when these two teams do meet, they don't, it's usually pretty close. So I could definitely see some overtime in Carolina this evening. That's at plus 340. So we have found some value in this game. Most of it being with the Capitals, just because they are the heavy underdog. Um, so that is just about it on that one. Like I said, you can shop around, do some different things on different books. You don't have to take these, but if you're playing for heavy value, then these are the areas that you are going to want to look in, I believe. Like we say, we do encourage you to think for yourself. These are just little tidbits to give you some info on and maybe just some different ideas to look at and find the best value that you can. So we're going to switch on. We're going to go into the second game. It is the Detroit Red Wings at the Buffalo Sabres. So we'll go and we'll check out these teams' last 5 games, see what they are doing. We're 4-2-2 for the Red Wings, 5-3 for Buffalo, as we talked about not too long ago. A couple of injuries here for the Sabres. Yuki Yari, he's on the IR, and Samuelson is on the IR as well. And then they have another. These are all defensemen out for them, so that could be something to take into account. Michael Rasmussen, the center for the Detroit Red Wings, he is suspended, so he will not be playing tonight. Matt Luff, the right winger, he is day to day, so probably wouldn't see him playing. He might be more of a game time decision, as maybe he felt good in practice, maybe he did not. That's a day to day diagnosis in the NHL. They don't really tell you too much. Oscar Sundquist, a center of theirs, is day to day, so kind of the same thing with him. And these are some good pieces for them as well that are out. So that is also something to keep in mind. So the Red Wings, the last 5, they've had a little bit of a tough stretch. They are 3-2. Their last win was against the Minnesota Wild. That was a 2-1 victory for them. So a pretty low scoring affair as far as hockey goes. And then you jump over to the Sabres, their last 5, they're 3-2. Their last win coming against the Chicago Blackhawks, the 4-3 overtime victory. Something to note, they do have 2 losses. They are to Montreal and Seattle. So remember talking about Seattle is 3rd in that division right now. They're not as bad as we may have thought coming out of the gate. Does that hold? I don't know. We'll see. So that's something to keep in mind with that game. The winning trends there. So let's dive on in here. We got the Red Wings on the money line plus 135. So they are the underdog tonight on the road. Sabres at minus 155 on the money line. The over-under for this game is 6.5. So the Sabres in their last game against Chicago, they would have got this over, whereas the Detroit Red Wings would have not even come close. And with those couple injuries they have, the under is at plus money, plus 100. So while that is not fantastic value, it still is plus money if you're looking for some dancing partners with it. And I think I may take that. That's a check mark for me. The Buffalo Sabres minus 1.5 on the puck line is plus 165. So the value grows a little bit. If you think the Sabres can win by 2 or more, let's dive a little bit deeper in here. See if we can't find something else a little bit better than that. And we'll start, since we're going to go with the alt lines, since we're doing the puck line. We'll see where I'd like to see the Red Wings break out of that little slump. Not really a slump, I should say, but 2-3, they want to get back, to a 500 record within their, last 5 or 6 games. So we're gonna go alt puck line. And if you think the Sabres are at home and they're just gonna, take advantage of the injuries that Detroit has, minus 2.5 plus 285, and that could be a sneaky pick. I think that could certainly happen, and I like the value for it. So that might be something that I check mark as well. You need them to win by 3 or more. The last 2 games, or the last game for each of these clubs, have been close. So while thinking about that, maybe pump the brakes just a little on that. Or if you're feeling lucky on this Halloween, go ahead and take a shot at it. But here's probably what I would do if it were me. We're jumping on the other side of the alt puck line here. The Detroit Red Wings minus 1.5, so we need them by 2, plus 265. In my mind, I kind of like that. They go in, play a hard fought game there in Buffalo, snag an empty netter. That's what we always like to hope for, or just get the 2. Have it not even close in the third period. But so I like that value at 260, 265 for the Red Wings by 2 or more. And if you think they could go in there and blow them out 3 or more, just have a really good showing, you're at plus 460 for that. So that is pretty good value there. The Wings by 3 or more. Moving along, we're going to touch on the 60-minute line as well. Both of these teams are plus money on the 60-minute line. So if you're going to go in that direction with this game, it's going to be which team do you like more? You have the Detroit Red Wings at plus 185 on the 60-minute line. And then you have the Buffalo Sabres at plus 105. So the value is definitely there with Detroit. Not so much with the Sabres, but it is plus money. So anytime you can get that, we like that. We like plus money. Not too many minuses being played over in this direction. And if you think this game is going to go to overtime, which it looks like the book is kind of indicating they think it has a chance to, the draw is plus 350. So pretty good value there if you're thinking this is going to be an overtime game. Certainly could be between these two clubs, being that the last games they played were just 1-goal games. So that's pretty good value there. Might be kind of a sneaky play there. And then, like we said, we can go and look at shots on goals for different players. Maybe find some values. But that can be tricky, as, a guy can have 3 or 4 shots on goal one night and then doesn't register 1 in the next game. I find myself playing the shots on goal from time to time. Some get home, some don't, like I just said. But you can definitely find some value in that, and that's just a different way to play these games. We can go into team totals, how many goals. We'll go into that real quick. There might be some value here in the team totals. If you think the Wings can score 4 or more goals, you're going to get plus 140 for that. So 5 or more plus 310. And if they go in there and they put up 6 or more, you're talking plus 700. We have to check the goaltending, see who's in net for this game. That's just a lot. I feel like if especially in their last game, they don't seem to be scoring that many goals right now. So it's something that I would probably be weary about. We can check out some game parlays. And these, you always find value. I like to play these as well. And you can pair these with other things, other game parlays, and really have some high value tickets at just 3 or 4 games a piece. So you got the money line and totals. So if we think Detroit's going to win and the over is going to get home, it's at plus 300. For this game, I kind of like the under myself. So with this style, it's going to be, again, who do you like more? Um, it's Detroit and the under hits. That's plus 340. I think in this one, maybe the Sabres and a under 6.5 at plus 225. Not tremendously high, but the value is there. And if you can manage to get both of those home paired with something else, you're going to have a pretty good day. So that's one way to do it. And then you can go puck line and total goals. That's pretty difficult in my eyes to hit. You could go Detroit Red Wings plus 1.5 at the over 6.5 is plus 170. All these are plus money, but the puck line and total goals is also difficult just because you have the puck line in there. So something, and it's it's all dealer's choice. If you like that style and you like the value you're getting from it, then go ahead and play it. I'm not saying don't. Just be wary a little bit. And then you have the first period and end of regulation. Always good value in here. You think Detroit or Buffalo can win the first period, then you're set up pretty good for high values there. So that's definitely something to take a look at as far as another angle to find to boost up your parlays or round robins, if you will. So let's jump into the last game of the evening. I know we're at the last game already. It is the LA Kings. They are down there in St. Louis to take on the St. Louis Blues. So we're going to open that up. We're going to go over their last five, see what the trends are on these two. I think St. Louis is struggling a little bit. They are only 3-4 right now for 6 points. Still early, like we say, but I feel like they probably think that they should be doing a little better, and I thought they would be as well. Quentin Byfield, their center, is out for the Kings, so that is something to keep an eye on. He is a big tool for them, and that's certainly him being out might affect the lineup a little bit. And then you have Pavel Buchnevich. He is on the IR for the St. Louis Blues. And Brandon Saad, their left winger, he is out. So some big names for St. Louis also could be a factor. So the Kings' last five, they are 2-3 right now in their last 5 games. Their last game or their last win coming over Toronto, it was a 4-2 victory. Toronto is in a little bit of a slip right now, so that's definitely something that we should keep an eye on. You may have had them in some futures to win the Atlantic Division. While not impossible, they do not like where they are at right now. So maybe watch out for the wheels to be getting loose, not falling off just yet, but they could be getting loose. In the Blues, their last 5, yikes, they are 1-4, so they are struggling, losing to Montreal, Nashville, Edmonton, and Winnipeg. And those are all decent teams. Even Montreal is playing better than maybe we would have expected. So they are struggling. So I think in this game, when we go to look for the value, we're definitely going to side with the Kings here. I think. See what we can find. So the St. Louis Blues, they're at home. They are favored in this game, minus 125 on the money line, and the Kings come in at plus 105. Over under for this game is 6. I don't think I like the over under in this game with the Blues struggling. And the Kings, they don't generally that while they are a solid team, they don't generally, blow the doors off teams, and they don't generally put 4 to 6 goals on the board. That's just the West Coast game. It's kind of a ground and pound, heavier style of hockey. So there might be a little bit more of a defensive look in this game. While we have the St. Louis Blues at -1.5, plus 195. So the value is up there. I don't think that they win this game by 2, being how they are struggling right now. I kind of like the Kings to come in to St. Louis and get them a win, kind of get back on the right track. So we'll take a look at these alt lines real quick since we're talking about puck line. But I don't think myself that I'm playing any kind of St. Louis Blues puck line with the trend that I'm seeing from them. So we're going to go this alt puck line here. If you think the Blues get back on track against the Kings, they win by 3 or more, you're at plus 350. Good value for something that I just don't see happening. The Kings like I said, they're a solid team, and I don't think they come into St. Louis and get blown out. I think it's going to be quite the opposite. So if I'm gonna do anything, the Kings at -1.5 is plus 240 there on the alt line. That I would feel much better about. Take advantage of this slump that they're on and really take it to St. Louis. But like I said, they're not that team that I know in scoring a ton of goals while they get 3 goals and then kind of shut you out defensively. I believe is the game they like to play, not quite fire wagon hockey out there, as they would say. So I'm thinking the alt line with the Kings would be a good way to add some value here. With me, I'm putting a check mark on the 60-minute line, as we've been talking about. It's the Kings plus 170. So we're asking them to win in regulation and take advantage of the Blues, which I feel like could happen. So that's gonna be my play on this game for the evening. I don't want to take the puck lines or anything. Not sitting there hoping for a goal fiesta that might not come. So we're gonna go Kings plus 170. If you like the Blues in the 60-minute line, it's plus 120. Like I said, the trend that we just talked about with them, they need to win a couple before I can really trust what they're doing. So I'm gonna leave the Blues alone on the 60-minute line, and I'm gonna take the Kings like we talked about. Let's take a look at some of these game parlays real quick, and then we're gonna talk. We're gonna quickly run over the slate for tomorrow as it is much larger. We'll take a look at the futures and get you out of here for puck drop at 7:00. We got about 14 minutes left or so. I think we can make it happen. So let's go the money line and total goals. And the over under is 5.5 for this game. So the 5.5 number I like much more for playing over and unders. They make you a little bit more nervous for the under, certainly. But the over is much more achievable when it's set at 5.5. You see 4-2 games all the time, or you're sitting there last minute, it's 3-2, you got 5 on the board. You just need an empty netter and then you get it and you cover. Or it's a 3-3 game, goes into overtime, you're sitting there nice, you already got the 5.5. So the 5.5s are the much better over under play. When you start getting to the 6.5s, that's when it becomes a little dangerous in my eyes, I feel like. So if we like the under in this game and we go with the Kings in the under, we're looking at plus 330. So that's pretty good value. If St. Louis is not scoring much right now, and the Kings are that team, if they can get up 2-0 and it's halfway through the game. I don't want to say they'll shut down and just go into prevent, but they're gonna grind it out and they're gonna play a little bit more defensively and just kind of try and wear you out, knowing that you have to score, at least 2 to tie or grind you down if it's a 1-goal game. Try to play the game in the other team's end and have puck possession. So that's kind of how I see this one moving. If you like the Blues in the under plus 270, the overs are going to be Kings plus 260, Blues plus 195. So the value right now is really with the Kings, the underdog, as you would usually see it. We talked about the puck line total goals. I'm not going to do anything with that just because those are tough. Even though they do pay out, they are tough to hit. And then you have the first period, end of regulation. If you like a tie and the Kings to win the game, I could definitely see that. That's at plus 650. So you're getting pretty good value out of all these first period winners and then game winner as well. So you could go the Kings to win the first period, and then St. Louis at home, the crowd gets into it. They end up winning that game. These are in regulation, of course. Plus 1,400 for the Kings to win the first period and the St. Louis Blues to win in regulation. So pretty high value there. And these can get home. We've had some success with them before, so no reason to shy away from them. They can be tricky. You need 2 things to happen in one bet, but it's what do you want to do with it? I think the reward is there if you want to go that way. So that is the slate tonight. We're gonna go ahead and then we're gonna run down the slate for tomorrow. So tomorrow, 7 p.m. There in Washington, you have the Golden Knights at the Capitals. So that's a back-to-back for the Capitals. Even though they are at home, Golden Knights are coming in there playing very good hockey. So that's going to be something to maybe look at the Golden Knights puck line. You might could find some value there if they take advantage of a tired Capitals team, especially if tonight is a heavy, hard style of hockey, a lot of hitting, and if they're scoring a lot of goals, it could be a high energy game, and that might have the Capitals a little bit fatigued on a Tuesday night. Next one up, Flyers are at the Rangers tomorrow. That's a 7 p.m. puck drop. The Senators, they go down to Tampa Bay. That is a 7 p.m. puck drop. So we have that. And we go into the 8 o'clocks. We have the Islanders going to Chicago. That could be a fun game for tomorrow. Both of those teams are playing pretty good right now, and scoring some goals. So maybe a over opportunity. Islanders Blackhawks, if you want to pin that and keep a note on that game. Then you have the Canadians. They're going to Minnesota to play the Wild at 8 p.m. This is a good one here. At 8 p.m. The Bruins going to Pittsburgh to play the Penguins, who the Penguins they had that hot start. Remember we talked about, I believe they were 4-1. They are now 4-4, 4-4-1 with 9 points. So they had a little bit of a slip there. So this is a good opportunity for the Bruins to go get a win on the road, I feel like. It should be a good game, though. While the Penguins may have had a little bit of a slip, they are still a quality team, so you would expect them to kind of try and jump out of that quickly. And so they're definitely not going to lay down for the Bruins, that's for sure. So that's one that we can probably find. Definitely some over value possibly in that game. And we have the Kings going into Dallas playing the Stars. That'll put the Kings on a back-to-back. So keep that in mind. That is an 8:30 p.m. puck drop. Next up, we have Seattle. They are going to Calgary to play the Flames. That's a 9 p.m. game. Calgary will be favored in that by quite a bit, minus 220 is what I'm seeing right now. So you would expect the Flames to get a win there at home. Then you have the Predators going into Edmonton to play the Oilers. Predators just lost by a shutout their last time out. So keep that in mind. This could be a good spot for the Oilers at home. Take advantage of that. Get 2 points added to their total. Panthers are going into Arizona. Man, you would expect them to kind of have their way with that team. Coyotes are 2-5-1. They only have 5 points. Panthers 5-3-1, good for 11 points. So I believe that kind of speaks for itself. So definitely look if you want to try and take a chance on a puck line for the Panthers tomorrow, then that's definitely something to probably take a shot at. That is a 10 p.m. puck drop. Next up, the Devils are going to Vancouver. Devils playing pretty good hockey. Vancouver is not. They are 2-5-1, also good for 5 points. That's a 10 p.m. puck drop. So look for the Devils possibly on the road to pick up another 2 points. Maybe a puck line there. Just Vancouver just really seems to be struggling right now. And then last up for tomorrow, this will be a 10:30 p.m. last game of the night. It is on the West Coast between the Anaheim Ducks and the San Jose Sharks. The Sharks are 3-8. These teams are not very good. This is a game that I would end up leaving alone. I just don't see much happening with it. Nothing that I really want to dive into. The Ducks 2-6-1, good for 5 points. The Sharks 3-8, good for 6. Both of those teams are pretty bad, so maybe an over if they start scoring back and forth on each other. It's really hard to say with a game like this with two bad teams. So that wraps up the slate for then. We got about 5 minutes left here on what the puck is going on. We'll have to wake up Steve. He might get a little grumpy, but it is what it is. So while we're doing this, we're going to the NHL. We're going to take a quick check on these futures, and then we are going to get out of here. So we are loading up. And so just something to keep in. Yep, here we go. These numbers, like I said, something to keep in mind with these these futures. These numbers are always moving, so it's not going to be the same. Probably too much from some of them might be, but let's jump into the division real quick. So in the Pacific Division, we have the Calgary Flames at plus 125 to win that division. So I have them in one of my slips. I still think that could happen, but the value on the Golden Knights is at plus 185. So if you're doing something else with that, maybe a little bit more long term, I kind of like that play right there with Vegas at plus 185, even though they are leading that division. So then you have the Oilers at plus 320 and the Kings at plus 500 or plus 1500, excuse me. So definitely some high value in there. Maybe if they can, be in the mix towards the end of the season. So let's go into the Metro division. We have the Carolina Hurricanes at plus 125, still favored to win that division, although they are currently out of the top 3 at the moment. Pittsburgh Penguins are plus 400. The New York Rangers plus 400 as well. The Devils leading that division plus 800 right now. So if you think they can kind of keep on fire, it's a long season. Keep that in mind. But there's some high value on them. And then the Capitals come in plus 1,000. So you can kind of be creative with that. Maybe if you think the Capitals can pick up the pace, maybe they catch on fire after the All-Star break and jump into the mix. So here in the Central, we have the Avalanche, who are if the season went all wonky or something and ended today, they would not be in the playoffs right now at minus 120. So maybe you try and find somebody else for the Central here. You have Minnesota at plus 425, as well as the Stars. And I think the Stars at plus 425 could be a good value pick for that. I think they're going to be in it, just being the way that things are going right now. St. Louis Blues struggling, plus 1100. And lastly, we have the Atlantic Division. Boston Bruins plus 200 to win that. The Maple Leafs, they have dropped. Their value has gone up, but that's because they have been sliding. They are at plus 260. I don't want nothing to do with the Maple Leafs. You couldn't make me buy it. I'm just not doing it. The Florida Panthers plus 260, and the Tampa Bay Lightning at plus 500. So that's really everything notable for this evening. We're coming up right here at 7 o'clock, and we want to get you out for puck drop. So we appreciate y'all tuning in this evening. Hopefully we dove deep enough on our very short slate for the evening. Hopefully we found you a little value, maybe a little bit more information to consider. So tune back in with us next Monday, 6 o'clock. I think Uncle Steve should be feeling a little bit better by then. You know how Halloween weekend can go. But let's check on that next weekend, because the weekends can get away from you sometimes. So we'll check on that, and yeah, we'll like to have him back, as I'm sure he would be. And make sure, since it's a brand new week, we have the Friday soccer paycheck coming up on Friday. That'll be at 4 p.m. Till about 5 or so, maybe a little bit a run over there. And that will be available for replay directly after the airing. And then, of course, come back in with us on Sunday morning. We are your first look at all things NFL for Sunday morning. That is the round robin with Uncle Steve, Nephew Dave, and the Ant-Man. So tune into there. We'll go and we'll keep the football going. We're about halfway for that, and we will find some value so that way we can invest the minimum to make the maximum profit. All right, everybody. Have a good evening and good luck.